Francis. Hey, congratulations on the last stop of Yuma County.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So we have to ask is where the original idea came from. What sparked you to come up with this story for the last stop of Yuma County?
Um, yeah, so all my short films, I wrote them based on locations I had access to. So like my friend's desert house, my friend's cabin in the woods, and we had little to no money, so that's what we did. And I wrote stories based on locations that we had access to. So when it came time to writing the feature, I was kind of looking at locations, and I found Four Aces in Lancaster, and I was like, this is amazing, and did a scout, took a bunch of pictures, sort of drew an overhead of the diner in Shot Designer, and just started crafting the story specifically based off that location and what I had access to. Um, so that was sort of the initial catalyst of how can I write a contained story in a single location. I love films like Rope and Dial M for Murder, Les Silence de la Mer, and I wanted to really try and tackle something like that. So once I had the location, then it just became about figuring out the motivations and the characters, and became sort of this story about greed and the ramifications of greed.
So tell us about this location. This it's like a hybrid of gas station diner that you actually found. Did you have to make any adjustments to this location?
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty, like, it's a very used set. Like after we shot there, I see it everywhere. I see it in commercials and TV shows. Um, and I started kind of realizing that leading up to production. So my production designer and I, we just really did as much as we could to sort of make it our own. So we had a couple weeks of prep there, just doing scenic and dressing and removing things, painting. I wanted to, not make it look exactly how it looks in everything that we've seen it in. So we wanted to kind of give our own flair to it. But yeah, it exists. It's in Lancaster. You can go visit it anytime. Actually, when we were shooting, it was funny. A lot of people actually, because it's just a film location. I mean, it's just a set, so there's no power or anything. We had to bring our generators. So a handful of times people would come and try and get gas there while we were shooting, and we were like, oh no, this is not a real gas station, it's just a set. So yeah, we had to deal with that a few times. It was pretty funny.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a wild guess. You filmed it during the winter, not during the summer out there in Lancaster, because I know it's pretty hot out there in Lancaster.
Yeah, the weather was crazy, man. It was we shot in October, early October. We wrapped like November 7th. It was a 20-day shooting schedule. Um, the weather was just all over the place. It would be hot one day, and then there's actually a scene in the movie where Jim is doing the sales pitch across from Jocelyn, and it is pouring rain outside, like full on windstorm, pouring rain. And it's actually in the movie. You just can't tell because with lighting and everything. And um, but yeah, we didn't really know what to expect out there. The desert's crazy, and the weather is completely random. So uh, yeah.
The style how you shot it is we classify it today as like these modern westerns. It's sort of like the Taylor Sheridan style that he popularized in the past few years. Are you fan of this genre, or you just happen to manage to step into it because of the location and story?
Oh, I love this genre. Some of my favorite films are like Red River, High Noon, Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, um, and I really love the aesthetic of Don Siegel, Sam Peck, and Pa. So that was really on the forefront of my mind when I was writing the script, is how to create this sort of 70s gritty thriller. I was Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, Charlie Varick, movies like that, where I really wanted to, create that feeling. Um, not so much modern stuff, although I am a fan of Sheridan. But yeah, it was really, for me, more of a throwback to 70s cinema.
Well, speaking of 70s cinema, I do have to admire you know, acquiring these some of these classic cars for your film. Tell
Oh
tell
yeah.
tell us about you know, acquiring the cars and trying not to damage them per se.
Well, I mean, pretty much all of them stopped running towards the end of the shoot. So a lot of those scenes is just me and the rest of the crew pushing the cars. So like that scene with Jim driving off, like I think we have some BTS footage of it where like, we're pushing the front of it, and then and then we're ducking down and running and pushing the car because it's so funny. My first short film was a period piece, and we had picture cars or old cars, and they stopped running. We had to do the same thing on our first short, and a lot of the crew that was on Last Stop, we were like, here we are again, pushing picture cars. I mean, a lot of those cars, we just rented them. Aside from the Pinto, I wrote the Pinto, and like specifically in the script, and kind of just kept periodically was checking Craigslist and ended up finding a green Pinto um, with an actual damaged rear end. Like it was sort of meant to be. It was crazy. So we actually bought the Pinto because we also had to like mess up the trunk, so it just made sense to buy a cheap Pinto on Craigslist. Um, yeah.
Now, I love Jim Cummings. I spoke to him before. He's a great actor. He's also a great director at the same time. Tell
Yes.
about
Yeah.
with him, and did he give you some advice?
Um, no, I mean, Jim, like I'm a huge fan of Jim as well. He's sort of been my North Star in terms of like just his whole ethos on independent filmmaking. That's what I've been doing, dragging my friends out to the middle of nowhere to make short films. And, I hear Jim talking about doing the same thing and had success with it. So that was really, really inspiring. And when I wrote this character, like Jim just kept popping into my head. So, yeah, we got him the script and he called me and we had coffee the next morning and he agreed to do it. And like, we just had a great fucking time, man. Him and the rest of the cast were all just movie lovers. Not a single person on the cast was not a cinephile. So it was just great to wake up early in the morning, talk about movies, you know, 9 o'clock at night, we're still talking about movies. But no, Jim was, he's an actor and a director, so he really respected me as a director and like never stepped on any toes, and he was so respectful and professional. And Jim's just a great dude. I love that guy.
I love them too, and the rest of her cast because I even recognize Alex in that film, and she's an indie darling also. So
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I love the indie darlings, man. This was my dream cast. I had a lot of them written in mind, or had a lot of them in mind when I was writing the characters, and I just wrote them all letters. And thankfully, I had a great casting director who was able to get the letters to all the cast, and I got really lucky, really really lucky because I love all these. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Vast of Night, but I saw Sierra McCormick in that movie. She was fucking incredible. I mean, really, nobody auditioned. It was just straight offers. I was like, I know you're right for this part. I saw Nicholas Logan and I Care a Lot, and I was like, that's Travis. Wrote him a letter. So that's sort of what the casting process was like. Was just reaching out to the people, actors that I'm a huge fan of.
well, I can tell this is a great first project for yourself, Francis. This is terrific, and you did it by the
Thank
bootstraps of
you.
indie filmmaking. So, hey, congratulations
Yeah.
for the last stop of Yuma County, and hey, thank you for carrying this conversation with us.
Yeah, of course, man. Last stop in Yuma County.
Yeah, thank
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, thank you so much.
thank you, appreciate it.
All right, cool, man. Take care.